I'm here with celebrity chef and New Jersey local, Chef James Avery. You can see James on Fox's Hell's Kitchen. James is gonna show us an amazing dish that he cooks for his family all the time. James, what are we eating today?
I've been on a huge ramen kick lately. I've been loving the Asian flavor, so we're gonna do some ramen. I'm gonna show you how to do a beautiful crispy pork belly, a beautiful broth, and a bunch of cool little garnishes we're gonna get together.
I'm so excited to cook with you and so excited to try this ramen. For the full ingredient list, check the description box below, but enough talking, let's get cooking.
So the first ingredient we gotta start with is the one that's gonna take the longest. In this recipe, it is the pork belly. I believe we picked this up at an Asian market. You grabbed that, right?
Yeah, I did get this at the Asian market. I went to the supermarket. They have bacon. They had pork belly, but already sliced, but no big ones like this.
You can see there's the skin, the fat, and then the meat. The skin is really tough. What we're gonna do is take our pork belly and just place it skin side down. Now you can add a little less water. We probably should take some out. But as we put the pork belly in there, it'll rise up. So be careful, you don't want that to end up on your stove. If you're cooking on fire, it will put out your fire. All right, so I'm gonna get both pieces of pork in. I'm gonna put the lid back on and let it hang out in the jacuzzi.
So let's transfer this over to the stove and head on to our next component.
So the next ingredient in our ramen is gonna be our fat element. Ramen is really just building up from the bottom. And one of those components is the fat, like I said. This is what we're gonna do with the pork belly. We're just gonna cut it into little nuggets of meat. The smaller the better, because the more surface area you have for rendering, all right? So it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to look like that. So you can do one.
Okay, cool.
And the reason why you want to use rendered pork fat versus like lard, let's say, it's because when you render it in a hot pan, the fat actually kind of fries the actual solids, and you get this nutty, toasty, more intense flavor of the pork. Think of brown butter versus regular butter. So that's why we're rendering this today, because you want to really squeeze out as much of the fat as you can.
Did I do okay here?
Yes. All right, so now we don't want to just go right into a pan with oil, because I don't want like other fat in there. You know what I'm saying? So what we're gonna do is add a little bit of water to a saute pan. And this is just to get the party started. So why don't you go ahead and put that in there? And then what's gonna happen is some of that fat is gonna leach out into the water, and eventually when the water completely evaporated, you're left with the fat, and then that's when the meat solids, fat solids, actually start to render in their own fat.
You cover this, or you just leave it uncovered?
No, because I want the water to evaporate. Follow me?
Yep.
So if the water evaporates, I'm left with some like fat, and now all this stuff will start to fry, and you'll see. All right, on to the next step. Let's make the tare. So the first ingredient we're gonna put in the tare is soy. Now, this is a pint container, so all I need to do is my best guesstimate. So that's a cup. Okay. Then a half a cup of mirin. It's a sweet white. It's used to season sushi. So I want to do a quarter of this because that is half a cup of the mirin and half a cup of sake. All right. That's going to come to a boil.
Let's cover that up. Let's get that boiling.
So the next thing we got to put into our tare, the final two ingredients, once it has come to a boil, is going to be ginger and garlic.
Okay.
So to peel ginger, you really just need a spoon. See, comes right off.
You want me to do that?
Sure. Don't use a knife, you'll lose too much of the inside of the ginger. You want to definitely use a spoon. A peeler is too difficult with that because of the irregularity of the shape. So we're already at a boil, so I'm just waiting on you there, chef. Remember how I was telling you that there's different types of tares? You could totally add a scoop of miso in there if you feel like it.
You want to? I got some.
You can. I mean, I was trying to, just do it. But it's, again, no rules with ramen. Have fun with it. Put whatever you want in there. That's good. So I think you're good. We can just go ahead and throw that right in there. Okay. And honestly, we want to let this cook for about a half an hour. Once it's to a boil, you can turn it down. It's good for 3 months.
3 months? You could just keep this in the fridge and then...
Believe it or not, because they use tare in yakitori cooking as well. That's what they dip the chicken in. So they have these clay pots, and they take the chicken while it's cooking, and they keep dipping it and putting it back, and dipping it and dipping it and putting it back. They have some tares that have been around for years.
I was watching something that they said there's like a soup in China that they've been making for 45 years. The same soup from yesterday, just added a little bit more, and they've been doing it for 45 years.
Totally. Well, we just got to let this chill out now. So I'll turn that off. I'll put it off to the side, let it kind of steep. You don't need to reduce it. You just need to steep in all that and combine the flavors. I can fix it.
Almost. Almost.
We can fix that. That's more than we needed for today. So we still got some.
Now we're cooking.
That's all right. Hope that makes the edit. So I want to show you now what it looks like about a quarter to halfway through the process of rendering your pork fat. So yeah, this is what you're looking for. You still have water in there, but once that water is completely evaporated and all that fat renders out, it'll start really frying, and then this will start to cook like you were cooking bacon.
Okay, cool.
All right, so our pork is finally done kind of being blanched, so let's move on to cutting that and getting it set up to go into the air fryer. All right, so as again, you can see, it's still raw. You know, like it shouldn't, you know, you really want this to be tender. Just dry everything up. So as you can see, it's starting to, it's not bubbling now, but you'll see it bubbling. But that means that our meat is starting to cook.
Now water's all gone too. Is this dry enough?
Yeah. So this is what our pork belly looks like now. This is a lot, but I wanted to make sure they could see it, and I want you to be able to do it as well.
Sure.
Yeah, we're gonna get it ready for the air fryer. So the first thing we have to do is score it. You wanna score the skin. You can see those layers again. The skin is soft now. It's not crispy yet, but when it is, it's amazing. We wanna score it somewhat, and when we salted it, the seasoning gets in there, right? And more surface area for the hot air to crisp everything up. It just makes it a much more even process, and it's delicious that way. These are very big, so this won't fit into an air fryer. So I'm just gonna cut it in half. You don't want to cut too far down, like I just did. So I cut that one a little too thick, exactly what I told you not to do. So just lightly. I'm so used to like scoring raw pork belly. It's a much more difficult thing. So yeah, we're just gonna go all the way down. Again, you just want a little score like that. Maybe a little deeper. Scared to go too deep now. I make mistakes too, everyone.
You have no idea how much the people appreciate when you show mistakes. I used to think like I can't show any mistakes because this is instructional, so like I can't make any mistakes.
Yeah, and again, this doesn't have to be super perfect. It's really just for the texture. So see, there you go. So you can go ahead and do that one. There you go. You see. So check it, you know, that way you'll know. Yeah, perfect, dude. You're better than me. Damn it.
I've been prepping for this moment my whole life.
Yep, so you're good. So I'll bust this one out too, I guess. Or I'll just do it real quick. Right here, you do the other half.
Okay.
I'll race you.
Is this allowed?
Oh, dude.
Can we operate like this? Two chefs, one cutting board. Is that okay?
We gotta do what we gotta do. It's a war zone in the kitchen.
You hear that, people? Get it done.
That's it.
Get dinner on the table.
Figure it out. Kids are screaming in the background. No, in the restaurant, you got orders flying in. Yep, it's perfect. All right, I'm gonna get this. All right, so let's transfer it to a platter like this for now, or a tray, whatever you really want to, because I'm gonna pour a little oil on it as well. So the next part of getting our pork belly ready for the air fryer is we gotta season it a little bit. One, we want it to taste good, and we want the that crispiness, and the salt will help that happen. So I'm gonna add a little bit of oil. This is avocado oil. You can use pretty much any neutral oil you want. You don't want to use anything like an olive oil that's too fragrant, you know? We're not cooking it, we're just doing this like that. I already got my hand dirty, so let me just finish it.
Cool.
I think you could figure out how to do this without me. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see, yep. Very generously rub it with salt. We really want to get the salt in those grooves. That was the purpose of these. You know what I'm saying? So we want to get the salt down in there and all around the meat. It's a very heavy piece of meat, very dense, very thick. You really almost can't over season this, because a lot of it's going to fall off of it because we're seasoning it later in the process. Come on, man, get in there. Let's go. We're on a time crunch here. I told you not to be scared, and you're seasoning.
I don't know why. I'm always trying not to oversalt things.
I just told you can't over this.
And get everything everywhere?
It's fine, man.
Get it on the sides too?
Yeah, as I said, all around, but really get it on that skin, you know? Mm-hmm. So ramen is really considered a fast food in Japan, and that's why there's really no rules to it either. It's high caloric, it's dense, it's umami heavy, so yeah, it can be, you know, healthy. It's not like it's eating a Big Mac or something like that, but it's considered fast food. So
what do you think, Chef? I
think we're good.
It's okay.
Our pork is beautifully seasoned. We've gotten it just enough rendered. Now we got to put it in the air fryer. So we're going to start at about 225 for the first hour. We'll have to check it periodically, but we'll show you what it's going to look like. And then at the very end, we're going to crank up the heat. That's going to get that really good bubbly, crispy texture on there. And then we're going to, carry on with the rest of the ramen ingredients.
All right, let's get this on a baking tray and get it in the air fryer.
There you go.
Oh, make it.
If it doesn't make it, lay it on its side. As long as the skin is getting hot air to it, we're good. It's now rendered enough, I think, on one side. So what I'm gonna do is scrape. See that?
Wow, look how pretty that is. Look at that nice color.
So you'll have all this stuff on the bottom. Scrape that. And what that's doing is really giving you a lot of depth of flavor. Look how beautiful that is.
That is. I always say I always say that there's color is flavor, and that is a beautiful color. It looks delicious.
So now it's gonna fry on the other side. But I'm also getting all those bits off the bottom to kind of suspend in the fat, because you're gonna get all that brown, all this stuff is gonna end up in your ramen.
Nice.
Dude, I forgot to add the brown sugar.
What?
I forgot to add the brown sugar in
To
there.
here?
Yeah.
We go back.
Bad news. I forgot the brown sugar in the tare.
It happens.
I gotta throw some in there, okay?
This is a great reminder that everybody makes mistakes, but once you catch your mistake, you gotta rectify it.
Yeah.
Don't be upset about it. Just fix it and get dinner on the
Own
table.
it and move on.
Own it and move on.
So it's still hot, so this will still dissolve. It's hotter than coffee. That's about a tablespoon, yeah?
Well, yeah.
You need that sugar to offset the fat and saltiness. All right, back over here. On to our ramen broth, which is essentially two different broths combined into one. It's called double soup. So what you do to make that, you would have boiling water, you would add kombu, which is a glutamate-rich, I think MSG, but it's not MSG, it's glutamate. It's a natural occurring salt, so it's loaded with that.
Umami flavor, right?
Yeah. Super umami. To make your double soup, you need equal parts broth and dashi. So we're gonna make the dashi, and I want to just get it all hot together at the same time. It's just more of an opportunity for your broth to, homogenous flavor. You know what I mean?
Incorporate all together?
Yeah, exactly. It's like day-old chili. So the longer all the ingredients can be together, the more they'll incorporate with each other.
So you just throw that right in there, just snap it in half and throw it in the
Yeah.
water?
So that was about, one full sheet of this. Again, there's no exact number. And then what we're also going to use is bonito flakes. And this is a dried fish that they smoke and they
You eat this, right?
Yeah. Really, it's intense though, but it's got
It's like fish jerky.
pretty much. So I'm gonna add about 2 handfuls, and then we have a quart of bone broth. That's how I make my bone broth.
So this is a little different than the bone broth video that I made, and you can see how gelatinous this is. This is super high in collagen.
By all means, you could use Angelo's recipe for bone broth. You could get store-bought, whatever. That's it. So we're gonna bring that to a boil. We're gonna strain it, and it's over. All right. So we about rendered all that we need. See how much fat we have in there? We're ready to strain this. In the kitchen, we would call these Scooby snacks. So by all means, if it looks like this, save it. Maybe a little bit of salt, some tahini in the oven, or not even, just crisp it up again in the oven. You're having a good time.
Okay.
All right. And there is your rendered, nutty, porky pork fat.
Hope you got your cholesterol in check.
All right, so that's ready. Let's do this. How do you salt like this?
Something like that.
While we're talking about salt, whenever you salt anything, you want to salt up high. It gives the cascade time to spread out and evenly salt. A lot of people season like this. So this is seasoned to death, and that's got no love. So, season up high. Just give it a quick.
You heard?
So we'll just whack it with this, All right, you first.
Let's take a look at that. Cheers, bro.
Oh. We should have just did this video.
This is a delicious chef snack.
Scooby snack.
Scooby snack.
So our ramen broth is done, AKA double soup. Only time this should really boil is once it comes to a boil, you get your kombu and your bonito flakes in, and then you just turn it off and let it turn into fish and seaweed tea.
So you steep it just like tea?
Yeah.
How long do you steep it for?
30 minutes is more than enough, okay?
Okay.
So it's done steeping. So now we're gonna strain it. Don't worry for some spills, it's not a big deal. We can discard the solids, rinse the pot out, and we'll dump that back in the pot.
So this already did its job.
Yep.
This is good to go.
So this is our finalized product. See all the fat from the chicken broth, and it's just like, here, tell you what, let's do this. Again, it's under seasoned, but imagine with a touch of salt in there.
It's still delicious.
Right?
This tastes just like a really nice miso broth.
Yeah.
If I was sick on a couch with a blanket and put that in a mug, I'm good.
All day long, man. So all we're gonna do now is transfer this back to a pot, because right before I build my ramen, I want this boiling. Boiling, because I want it as hot as can be, because I'm gonna add ingredients to there, and while I'm building it, it's cooling down. I also want that to really reheat things for us.
Yeah.
Make sure everything's hot and super delicious.
Because
okay?
when you put cold stuff in hot stuff, it cools down.
Yeah, and it takes a minute to boil. So we're at the halfway mark of the pork belly. I did it for an hour. The first half an hour, I checked in on them at 250. I wasn't real thrilled with how they were coming out because they're a little bit bigger than normal, than I would normally cook like this. So I bumped it up to 300. So a half an hour at 250 I did, another half hour at 300, and it's gotta go back in, but let's check on them. And that's exactly what I want. Once you start seeing those white bubbles, you know you're on to something. So I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna blast it at 450. I don't know the exact time I want to stop at, but I do know I want very white bubbly skin. So we're probably looking at somewhere around 45 minutes at 400.
Okay, so let's bump this up to 400.
You got it. The next component we want to use for our ramen is wood ear mushrooms. These are really cool. You either have to get these off Amazon or go to an Asian market. Odds of getting these at like a Whole Foods or one of your locals is not going to happen, okay? You can use other mushrooms, by all means. You can use fresh chanterelles, or you can use...
Like dried shiitakes?
Shiitakes, fresh shiitakes, dry shiitakes. When you use a dried mushroom, you have to do what we're about to do. You know, they come out, they'll be this big by the time they reconstitute, like a sheet. We're gonna just reconstitute these. So to do that, very simple. It might be too much, so let me just start with this and see how it looks. You can always add more water if you have to. That's it. They're basically covered. So now the next thing we're gonna do is cover it in multiple layers of plastic wrap. And you want this loose, and I'll show you why in a moment. You don't want it tight. You're not wrapping it to put it away. You're wrapping it to lock the steam in, okay? So like you want plenty of slack. Because when it goes in, I'm gonna weigh it down, and you're gonna see why I do this part. And you don't want any holes. You don't want any. You need heat. Heat is your friend in this process. You want them in contact with the wood the whole time. And then that's it. They're gonna hang out, and later when we're cutting our scallions, we'll buzz a knife through these too.
How long do you want these to hang out like?
At least a half an hour. The idea here is you want the water on the side to be above
where the mushrooms are.
You want them constantly touching the hot water. That's what's gonna...
No dry spots.
No dry spots.
The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make these soy eggs, and I'm gonna talk about it because James called me last night and told me what to do. So I already did them in advance, but I wanted to show you. So we have some eggs that are boiling on the stove. We boil them for about 7.5 minutes, and you wanna be really exact to 7.5. It's gonna produce the perfect creamy yolk center. So 7.5 minutes is what we're going for, and we got about 1 minute and 30 seconds left. So as soon as these eggs are done, we're gonna take them, we're gonna plunge them into the ice water so they stop cooking. We're gonna let them cool, and then we're gonna make our soy marinade that we're going to soak these eggs in. I did this overnight because you're gonna want these eggs to soak, so about 8 to 10 hours in this.
In a restaurant, we call it mise en place, which means you're ready to go. Everything's put in place. That's the literal translation. Part of your mise en place is having your ice ready, because you have to stop them at exactly 7.5 minutes. If you don't, those 15 seconds, oh, the ice, I need the ice, and you're panicking, and then your eggs overcook. 7.5 minutes, ice.
So I'm gonna use the spider here to pull all 4 eggs out at the same time, plunge them right into the ice water. I'm gonna give them a little bit of a swirl so they don't develop any like thermal layer around them.
Yeah. Your water has to be at a rolling boil before your eggs go in, because then it'll mess with the cook time. Precision cooking, boiling water, very cold water, and you gotta go from 1 to 1 within 3 seconds. You would be shocked how many people in a commercial kitchen do that.
We're gonna start off with 3/4 of a cup of water, and I'm just gonna use the same measuring cup. I pulled out the 1/4 cup, because no matter if we need a 3/4 of a cup, a half a cup, or a 1/4 cup, this can do it.
Smart. I learned something.
So now let's do 3/4 of a cup of this low sodium soy sauce.
By the way, you could use these for like an Asian-inspired deviled egg.
Now we're talking.
With some crispy pork belly on top from rendering pork fat.
So now we're gonna throw in about a half a cup of sake. And you can see that we're using a lot of the same ingredients. So one of the comments I always get is there's too many ingredients in this. If you buy these ingredients and have them on hand in your pantry, even in like a recipe like this, you're using them. You can see like I bought this bottle of sake, but it's all gone. I know in the comment section of this video, I'm gonna get, this is too much work. What's really too much work? You know, the people who made the ramen that you're eating at the restaurants, they did all this work. So you can either do the work or you can pay the big bucks for the big bowl of ramen. And now I'm putting in a half a cup of mirin.
Again, that's a sweet rice wine. You know, that's a great ingredient. You can use that with 20 other different dishes. So nothing wrong with having that in the pantry.
Now we're gonna put in a tablespoon of some white sugar. And we're gonna put about a thumb-sized piece of ginger. So on this ginger, you said we could just give it a little smash?
What's this?
No knife needed. Okay, so we're gonna take this knob of ginger, we're gonna throw this in there. We're gonna bring this up to a boil and we're gonna let it simmer for about 3 to 4 minutes until the sugar dissolves. Then we are going to let this cool before we put our eggs in.
On to our next garnish, which is scallions. We're gonna take the white part out of the equation, all right? But I'm gonna save this because I had an idea that we should fortify the scallion flavor and just keep making what we're making today better. So I'm gonna add these when we're done cutting these for the garnish. I'm gonna add the whites back to the broth and let them get on some more character. Why not?
Cook it on the fly.
Just little fine cuts. Again, we're not looking for perfection. We're just looking for, I want to be able to pile these up. Knife cuts serve a purpose. That's why we have so many different ones. You know, it really depends on what you're doing, but I want to be able to like pile them. So you're hired.
How's that? Is that a little better?
A little better. Just move slow. If you're not going to use your hand as a guide, because you'll eventually nip yourself. But it's okay. I'm gonna help you with your knife cuts. You're gonna help me with my bench press, and we'll throw that right in the right on top of the double soup or the ramen broth, and we're good.
You can definitely tell yours is a little bit more refined than mine.
Let's just do this. Nobody will know. And yeah, we use the whole stem to root. And then the next thing we're gonna cut is our wood ear mushrooms. Finally, we're gonna finish up these wood ear mushrooms. So they've been sitting for about, what would you say, 20 minutes, half an hour, something like that?
Something like that.
So,
wow. Look at that.
now, in the whole thought process of not wasting anything, you now have this beautiful mushroom broth. You can use this to make a mushroom pasta. You could use it to make a mushroom barley soup. Whatever. It's a flavored water, which is all stock or broth is, right? All right, that's it. So my hands are kind of made out of asbestos, so like they don't burn. As you can see, they're steaming hot, but we'll be fine. The wood ear mushrooms kind of have this kind of, whatchamacallit, where they grow from. Do this, just sorting through them. You want to help? Have at it.
Sure.
Just want to tear that. You can tear it, you can cut it. I mean, we're not wasting much there. Let's get like a few big ones, like stacked up, roll them. Nobody's going to judge you in your ramen on your knife cuts for your mushrooms. So, got my knife, and we're just going to, this is just, I'm not really doing about, what would you say that is?
Half inch, 5/8, maybe
Yeah,
a little over a half inch.
About the width of a pencil. These ones a little too big, so I'll do something with that later. But again, I was gonna spin. I just like them. It's just they're easier to negotiate with when you're eating them. That's an important thing when you're cooking and looking at food. Always ask yourself, how is this gonna eat? Like, in terms of when I'm eating it, how is the person gonna be able to manage it with the eating process? So I'm gonna do this last one, and I'm gonna give you a turn. And then we're gonna jazz those up with a little bit of rice vinegar. That's a little trick I use because they're more texture than they are flavor. So I like adding a little bit of vinegar to them. It's like added acidity to the dish. And again, there's no rules in ramen, so have at it. My man, there you go. All right, so here are our wood ear mushrooms. They're ready to go. Almost looks like pappardelle or tagliatelle, okay? Like I said, they're more of a textural thing to the dish, but why not like drive the flavor train home, you know? So
acid pops flavor.
Yep, so we're just gonna sprinkle this lightly with a little bit of rice vinegar. You could do some chilies in there. I mean, you could have a ball with it, right? But that's it. You know, we don't need to go crazy. Right now, it's gonna taste weird on its own. It's not gonna be good, but you'll understand it in the final dish.
Everything's gonna work together.
That's it.
Ramen is a harmony.
That's it, man. So our eggs are done. They've chilled, ready to be peeled. I watch people struggle with peeling eggs like painstakingly, and they're sitting there and they're scratching at them and scratching at them. Couple key things to understand about making sure an egg is easy to peel is you go into boiling water and you go into ice water, like boom, and that the eggs are super fresh. If you're anywhere near a local farm, I believe you said these are.
Yep,
right?
These up from a local farm. I would walk past the chickens when I picked up the eggs.
The fresher the egg, the better the protein. So really, to peel an egg, it's 1, 2. The first tear is hard. So tap, tap, and you should. And go slow. I'm not peeling little pieces off. I'm trying to keep it like, there's a membrane in between the shell and the actual, the egg itself. So once you get that, you should just be able to do this. I don't know why. I love peeling eggs. See that? And ideally, you just want it to come off in a big piece.
I find it to be very satisfying when you're peeling things. The greater, the bigger the peel, the easier, the better that was.
So see? Tap, and then I forget, yep, tap. And then give it a couple taps down the side, like, and then other side, yeah. Now start from the top, the bottom, if you will. Yep. Just really kind of like, almost like a mama lion picking up her cub. Like you want to get your finger kind of in there and it'll start crumbing down the seam and then you can open it like a book. Anything worth doing is worth doing well, including peeling eggs.
This is to all you people in the comment section, too much time when you buy your eggs pre-boiled.
Then you don't know what the yolk is like, how fresh they are. You're leaving the variables into too many other people's hands. Okay, and then now this should go quick. So just now kind of just start kind of working it open. You don't have to be so literal. I mean, yeah, there you go. Just make sure you, yep, see? And I promise you, it does look like he's going slow right now. I would have had these all peeled by now. I was just trying to go very slow, intently. That's it. Do the rest of them, get them in the flavor pool.
Look at that. Every single one, totally perfect. And you can feel the nice runny yolk on the inside.
And yes, and as they soak in the soy, it will penetrate through to the yolk and it will almost kind of cure the yolk and it'll be jammy. That's why you want to slightly undercook it. If you cook it to a hard-boiled egg, it's...
So this is that liquid that we made before. We're gonna take these eggs, we're gonna soak them in there for about 8 to 10 hours. Again, James told me to do this last night, so I already did this, but I just wanted to show you all at home so that when you do this yourself, you know exactly what to do. So I'm gonna pop these eggs in there. I'm gonna make sure that they're completely covered with the liquid and that there's enough. This is gonna go inside this airtight, leak-proof Tupperware container. We're gonna snap the lid on and this is gonna go in the fridge. 8 to 10 hours later, we're gonna pull the eggs out.
Our final garnish, luckily we didn't have to make it. All we gotta do is dirty a knife. So you can pick these up at an Asian store. Unfortunately, Whole Foods, they won't have them, okay? So what this is it's similar to imitation crab. It's literally that. It's compressed fish, so it's not necessarily that important, but it definitely makes it a little more authentic. I think they taste kind of great. So we wanna do about 3 pieces per order of ramen. So we're gonna do, I'll do 2 more. 1.
That's exactly what it tastes like. It tastes like the imitation crab.
All right, last thing is the noodles, the ramen noodles. So what makes ramen noodles different than other noodles throughout Asian cuisine is that they have an alkaline substance. That allows them to live in the liquid without turning to mush. Like if you put traditional spaghetti in there, it would turn to mush. So that's why it's important that we use this type of noodle, okay? All right, ramen noodles in, 4 minutes. That's it. So they're almost done. What we're gonna do is go into the colander, back into the pot, so I can plate from the pot over here. Copy? Okay. So there we go. Give them a quick rinse.
So give them a quick rinse.
All right, so once you can pick them up, that's it, you're done. Put right back in there, sir.
Yes, chef.
The final product should look something like this.
Wow, look at that pork belly.
Okay, and by the way, do not throw any of this away. Strain it off and save it for something later. So I'm beginning our assembly line. I'm just gonna go ahead and have these cut and ready to go so I don't have to waste time, but I also want you guys to really see. So you wanna cut these about a thumb width apart, give or take, I cut them this big. You can cut them this big for an appetizer, but we're gonna lay it right on top of our ramen. Don't worry if that happens, not the end of the world. Oops. Run away pork. So now we're gonna just have our egg cut. Boom. Perfect, good job on the eggs.
Thanks, man.
Damn. All right, so time to build our ramen bowl. So it looked like a lot of work, but you'll see how quickly it comes together. About 1.5 tablespoons of our rendered fat. I'm gonna do about 1.5 tablespoons of our tare. And then our broth. So where do you try this?
It already looks amazing and it smells fantastic. Once YouTube figures out how to get smell to the people watching, then it's game over.
Look at that, see all the glossing of the fat? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, it smells so good already.
Now let's get our noodles. Let's be generous with the noodles. That's what we're here for. Usually you have like a ramen basket, but I doubt anybody has that at home, but it makes it easier to plate it. So the next thing is gonna be our wood here. Then we're gonna go with our 2 eggs. We're gonna do some pork. That's it, bang, bang, bang. Do a touch more broth just because it'll re-warm the, it just looks nicer going to the table. See, doesn't that look way better than what I just said before?
It looked a little dry before and it doesn't anymore.
We cut it and it's been kind of chilling, so. All right, boom, boom, and boom.
Fish cakes in.
Now, like I said, man, a copious amount of scallion. And there you have our Tonkatsu Shoyu Ramen.
This looks so amazing. I am so excited to try it. Any ways to suggest how to eat it, or you just dig in?
Tackle it. You can, have each component, but I definitely would recommend if you're doing the noodles, which I like to do first, kind of opens it up a little bit.
I'm gonna try to get a little bit of everything on one bite.
That's hard, but yeah. You can adjust it too. While you're eating it, you want some chili in there, add some hot, whatever.
This is so unbelievably good. Oh my God, I'm drooling. This is so good. Let me get some of that egg yolk. And you're so right about the mushrooms. Like the mushrooms by themselves, they tasted okay. But with everything else, oh my.
Yep, texture.
This is worth every single bite. And everything works so well together. No matter what combination of things I'm grabbing, the noodles, the pork belly, I got a little bit of the fish cake, the mushroom on this bite.
Definitely one of my top favorite things to make. It's weird eating it with a fork though. It's like messing with my head. I'm used to chopsticks and a spoon. Hey, we're eating ramen like an Italian.
A lot of the components that we made for this dish are inside this book, Ramen Obsession. It's like a ramen Bible. Check it out. If you want to check out another soup recipe, check out my lentil soup recipe. I'll throw it right there. Thanks, Chef, for coming in.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
We'll see you there. Thanks.
Bye-bye.